الشاشة معروضة؟ الشاشة الآن معروضة؟
معروضة إن شاء الله. اتفضل.
إن شاء الله. هبدأ إن شاء الله.
اتفضل يا دكتور، اتفضل يا دكتور هشام.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة على أشرف المرسلين محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام. السلام عليكم. I would like to thank you for accepting my presentation in this event. Let me introduce myself. I'm Hisham Sharak. I'm PhD student in field civil engineering at University of Tlemcen, Algeria. Today, I have honor to talk about performance and influence of the injection curtains on characterizations of the infiltration beneath an earth dam. The presentation will consist of the following parts. First, introduction. Second, research objective. Then, materials and methods. After that, result and discussion. At the end, conclusion of the work. First, we'll begin with introduction. According to the statistics of the International Commission on Large Dam, the failures caused by foundation problems concern 74% earth dams, 53% concrete dams, 30% other types of the dam. These failures are related to degradation mechanisms of the foundation, which can be different causes. Degradation of the foundation, dissolution and erosion, degradation of the injection curtain, loss strength, increase in pore pressure and change in stress, internal of the foundation, so led to mechanical instability of the foundation. The internal erosion of the foundation caused by two phenomena: degradation of the injection curtain, natural cracking of the rock. The action of water on the foundations causes two phenomena: increase in flow rate, increase in pore pressure, so let decrease in effective stress. It occurs internal erosion. We have defined some research objectives that can be summarized as follows: treatment of the foundation, impact on flows behavior, impact flow behavior, decrease in hydraulic gradient, decrease in pore pressure, decrease in flow rate. So, general safety of the dam. The objectives are motivated by following constraints: partial characterization of foundations, and technically and financially limited recognitions, recorded failures and consequences, thus the need for treating the foundation by injection curtain. In our case, the dam chosen for this study is the Sidlapli Dam. This choice was motivated by the problems recorded on this dam. We have characteristics of the hard dam. The central curve and maximum height is 60 meters. Also, the main part of our research work has been carried out through numerical modeling using CW under GeoSlope software. The injection process is a complex and multi-criteria technique. In Figure 1 shows that construction of the in-situ injection curtain. Table 1 shows the cases of the evaluation of performance parameters of injection curtain in terms of spacing between two curtains and numbering of the curtains. Figure 1 shows that simulation procedure in GeoSlope software. The finite element mesh of the dam is shown in Figure 2, and relative error for The optimal number of the finite elements in the numerical simulation is shown in figure 3. The mesh of the dam was estimated to minimize the simulation error inferior 1%. We try also to answer some main questions. Question 1, what is the optimum horizontal spacing between double curtains? Question 2, what is the appropriate number of the curtains? We have analyzed the flow parameters at foundation level by the CW. We begin with a factor of horizontal spacing between double injection curtains. We have equipotential line and flow lines and pore pressure under the earth dam. Also, we have flow rate as a function of 2 injection curtains beneath a central core. According to following figures, we note by increasing the horizontal distance between 2 curtains from the axis under the central core, the flow rate and the outlet gradient are decreased by increasing the horizontal distance. The flow rate is decreased by about 20%, and the outlet gradient is decreased by about 46%. A considerable reduction of pore pressures is obtained when increasing the spacing between 2 curtains up to a ratio equal 1. 2, effect of the number of injection curtains with depth at 60 meters in infrastructure characterization. Figure 7 shows the equipotential lines and numbering of the injection curtain below the earth dam. According to figure 8, the value of outlet gradient decreases from 10 to 21% when increasing number of the curtain from 1 to 4. Figure 9 shows that the flow rate through the foundation decreased about 70% when you use 1 curtain. Also, there is decreasing slightly when you use 2, 3, 4 curtains. At the end, we conclude this study to investigate influence and performance of the injection curtain for decreasing characterization of infiltration under the dam. The horizontal spacing and number of injection curtain were considered to optimize the security of the dam. The parameterized study carried out on the Sibilabli dam enabled the conclusions and recommendation below. By increasing the horizontal distance between 2 injection curtains from the axis under the central core, the flow rate and outlet gradient decreases. By increasing the horizontal distance, the flow rate is decreased by about 20% and the outlet gradient is decreased by about 46%. A considerable reduction of pore pressures is obtained when increasing the spacing between 2 injection curtains up to ratio equal 1. It's obvious that by increasing the distance between 2 curtains, the pore pressures is decreased under the earth dam. Outlet gradient decreases 10, 13, 19, and 21% respectively when increasing the number of the injection curtain. Hence, increasing number of the curtains to 3 is important to minimize outlet gradient. The flow rate through the foundation decreases about 70% when use 1 curtain, as well as there is decreasing slightly 70.5, 18.5, and 19.5% at 2, 3, 4 curtains. The number appropriate for to diminish the flow rate and piping phenomena is 3 under a downstream side of the center core. And thank you for your attention.
شكرا يا دكتور هشام على البحث المتميز. في أي أسئلة لحضراتكم؟ في أي تعقيب أو أي أسئلة يا جماعة؟ متشكرين جدا يا دكتور هشام.
متشكر، شكرا لك.
البحث السابق للدكتورة هبة عدنان موجودة؟ دكتورة هبة؟ دكتورة هبة؟ البحث رقم 1. طيب دكتور المعتز بالله السماوي؟
نعم.
دكتور معتز؟ أيوة
نعم.
اتفضل. اتفضل بإلقاء البحث بتاعك.
شكرا.
اتفضل حضرتك.
واضحة الصورة؟
أيوة تمام يا دكتور، تمام.
Okay. Hello everyone. First, I hope you are in good health. I am المعتز بالله السماوي. I am here to present you about my paper under the title Numerical Investigation of Fully Uncast Composite Column subjected to combined axial and cyclic loading. Concrete and steel have different advantages. Concrete has high compression strength and low cost, while steel has high tensile strength, rigidity, and ductility. Composite columns are used extensively in modern buildings, especially in industrial buildings. Composite columns are divided into 3 types by the position and shape of steel section. The first type is a fully uncast composite column, as shown in Figure 1. The second type is a partially uncast composite column indicated in Figure 2 and 3. Lastly, concrete felt steel columns, as shown in Figure 4, 5, and 6. The main purpose of this study is to investigate the axial load ratio and concrete reinforcing bar effects on fully uncast composite column and the cyclic loading. Numerical modeling. For this purpose, a 3-dimensional finite element model is developed for the columns. The finite element analysis of composite column is carried out by using ANSYS software. The numerical model considers the elastoplasticity of materials and the nonlinearity of contact friction. All the specimens have the same cross-section, but the percentage of longitudinal bars are different. As we can say in Figure 8, the first column is 4 bars of 16 diameter, second 8 bars of 16 diameter, third 4 bars of 20 diameter, and finally 8 bars of 20 diameter. The columns were used in the parametric study with 100 millimeter, 150 millimeter, and 200 millimeter of spacing between transversal bars, as shown in Figure 9. The cover concrete is 50 millimeter. The steel profile is HEA 240, and the cross section is 450 by 450 millimeter. The steel is supposed to behave as an elastoplastic material, defined as elastic perfectly plastic, as shown in Figure 10. Figure 11 shows stress-strain relationship of the concrete. Numerical modeling. Considering several studies reported in the literature, it was decided to choose the used finite element model solid 65 for the concrete, solid 185 for the steel section, and link 118 for the reinforcing parts of the ANSYS software. The boundary conditions are fixed at the bottom and free at the top of the column, as indicated in Figure 12. Firstly, the axial load was applied at the middle of the free end of the column, and the horizontal load is applied with displacement using boundary conditions using different increment steps. To validate the accuracy of numerical model for the composite columns described in the previous slides, 4 previously results published by Herbert et al. Used for comparison purpose. As shown in the Figure 13, The black line and the red one are the experimental results, and the blue one is the numerical results. The difference between experimental and numerical values is 1.51%, 0.66%, 0.48%, and 0.74%. It can be found that generally good agreement is obtained between the numerical and tested results. This confirms that the present numerical model can be used with confidence to simulate the behaviors of the fully uncast composite column and the cyclic loading. From the numerical simulation, the parameters studied are hysteresis curves, skeleton curves, dissipated energy, and ductility factor also carried out. Hysteresis curves. Figure 14 shows that the reinforcement bars effect has almost symmetrical hysteresis curves. The hysteresis curves showed that the axial load has a significant impact on the fully uncast composite column and the cyclic loads according to this series of simulation. Before the horizontal force reaches the yield load, the specimen behave almost elastically. From the yield load to the ultimate load, the specimen's rigidity gradually decreases and the plastic deformation is small. The specimen's hysteresis curves are strongly influenced by the axial compression ratio. The lobes get bigger and more stable as the axial compression ratio decreases. Figure 15 shows the specimens with a 0.5 ratio of axial load have the lowest peak load and initial stiffness, while the other two specimens show 11% to 28% increase in peak load, 51 to 96% increase in initial stiffness, and 14 till 16% increase in ductility. It has been found that increasing the number of reinforcement bars has no effect on the peak load. This is because the load-bearing capacity of the steel section dominates the capacity of reinforcement bars. Dissipated energy. Figure 16 shows that when the reinforcement bar ratio increases, the energy dissipation gradually increases. The energy dissipation capability of specimen with a 0.5 axial load ratio is the lowest. For the specimens with 4 and 8 bars of 16 and 20 diameter, the plastic work done per cyclic is similar. Compared with the energy dissipation capacity of fully uncast composite column with different spacing between transversal bars, it can be found that the spacings with 100 millimeter spacing have higher energy than others. The ductility ratio of the composite columns were compared to several transversal bars spacing in order to highlight the ductility ratio of the composite column as shown in figure 17. It has been found that a fully uncast composite columns with ductility of 8 bars of 20 diameter have the maximum ductility when compared to other columns. Furthermore, it can be noted that the spacing between transversal bars did not have an effect on the ductility of fully uncast composite column. This research investigated various parametric studies for fully uncast composite column. The applied axial load ratio, longitudinal reinforcement bars, and transversal reinforcement bars were the main parametric variable considered in the simulation study. By comparing fully uncast composite columns with various parametric, peak load, dissipated energy, ductility factor, stiffness initial, and stiffness degradation, the following conclusions have been drawn. The longitudinal and transversal reinforcement bars have a slight effect on the fully uncast composite columns due to the fact that the load-bearing capacity of the steel section dominates the capacity of the reinforcement bars. As the longitudinal and transversal reinforcement bars ratio increases, the fully uncast composite columns become strong and rigid. Spacing 100 millimeter between transversal bars attain the highest peak load, ductility, energy dissipation, higher initial stiffness, and stiffness degradation much better than the others. Spacements with a 0.5 axial load ratio had the lowest peak load and initial stiffness, whereas the other two spacements have a peak load rise of 11% till 28%, and initial stiffness increase of 51% till 96%, and ductility increase of 40 to 60%. The axial compression ratio has a slight impact on the fully uncast composite columns. Thank you.
شكرا دكتور معتز على البحث القيم. موضوع الكومبوزيت ستراكشر من الموضوعات الهائلة، وحتى مش كتيرة، من الموضوعات يعتبر النادرة لحد ما حتى عندنا في مصر. شكرا على مجهود حضرتك بذلته في البحث. لو في أي سؤال لدكتور معتز، أي تعقيب يا جماعة؟ أفتكر في لحضرتك بحث آخر؟
نعم. لا، عندي صديقي راح يعرضه.
في بحث تاني بيتهيألي بالمشاركة مع دكتور حمزة.
نعم.
تمام، لو حضرتك تحب تلقيه أو دكتور حمزة يعني.
أنا هنا.
دكتور حمزة.
تمام، اتفضل يا دكتور حمزة. شكرا يا دكتور معتز.
شكرا لك.
Is the screen is clear for all? Is it clear, the screen?
يا دكتور واضحة، اتفضل. الشاشة اختفت ليه يا جماعة؟ أيوة دكتور حمزة اتفضل.
Is it clear, the screen?
تمام، واضحة واضحة يا دكتور.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Hamza Basri, a PhD student at the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Tlemcen, Algeria, and today I have the pleasure to present this work under the title of Numerical Investigation on Seismic Behavior of Steel Frame Equipped with Steel Plate Shear Wall. First of all, let's see what's the outline of this work and an overview about this kind of seismic devices, the research objective, the methods used, the results obtained and discussions, and finishing by a conclusion. Steel plate shear walls have been used as the primary lateral force resistance system in building for more than 5 decades, and also for the upgrading and retrofitting of existing structure. And actually these systems represent a good choice for a variety of building application. The figure below, figure 1, show the steel plate shear wall system in the building frame. The steel plate shear wall system consists of a steel shear panel added as a fill to the building structural frame composite of beams or the horizontal boundary elements and the columns or the vertical boundary elements. And this is the general design of these systems. In fact, there are three different types of. The first type is the steel plate shear wall, like the picture on left, means the thin steel shear walls without any stiffeners, and the other type is the stiffened steel shear walls. For this study here, we used only the unstiffened type, which is the type most used in North America. There are house stadiums since 1970s in the United States, Canada, and Japan to research for a better understanding of this system behavior, particularly as it relates to earthquake resistance design. The picture below shows an example of application of these shear walls, and exactly on the LA Live Hotel building in California, United States. Actually, this is one of the famous buildings equipped with these kind of systems because it was a great move from the engineers to replace the concrete shear walls with the steel plate shear walls in all the 56 story, and that eliminate 35% of the weight of the structure and reduce seismic design forces and foundation size, allowing for more simplified and efficient construction. Of this system application, the Federal Courthouse in Seattle, United States, and you can see clearly the numerous steel plates have been used in this building. The research objective. This study aims to investigate the effect of the steel plate shear wall on the seismic behavior of steel frame, evaluate the performance benefits of the steel plate shear walls over the traditional braces in terms of hysteresis curves, ductility, energy dissipation, and stiffness. The figure 5 shows the two numerical models used on this work. We have here a steel frame with steel plate shear wall, and on the left, the same frame, but with a conventional brace for comparing the results. For the methods, a static nonlinear analysis was conducted using the Abacus software program. The analysis consists of 3 parts necessary. The first part is the pre-processing or the modeling step. It begins with creating the geometry of the steel frame. All members here was modeled using shell elements, define materials, assign sections for the elements, and for the assembly and interaction. We usually define the interaction between the different elements of the frame, but in this case, since we have no interest on the connection, so all the frame merged a unique. Finally, applying a cyclic loading and meshing the model. The second part is the evaluation and simulation, which is the submission of the model for the analysis. The final part is the post-processing, which is the visualization of results. For the verification of this method, we validated an experimental work done by Mr. Saeed Sabori in Iran by 2 terms. The first term is the comparison of hysteresis curve of the numerical and experimental results. And as clear, the hysteresis curve figure on left, and as seen, there is a much agreement between the experimental gray color and the numerical one in blue color. We can observe a good agreement between the numerical and the experimental result. The second term is the deformed shape. Is the deformed shape figure on right. We can observe the same large tears on the infill plate are presented on both the numerical and the experimental, and also there is no local or global buckling observed on the columns in the 2 models, the numerical and experimental. For the results obtained, For the results obtained from Abacus of this comparative study between the frame with steel plate shear wall and the other frame with conventional brace. First, we start with the hysteresis curve, and as seen, the two models have the same elastic behavior in the first cycles, but not the same at the plastic region, as we notice an increase in shear forces for the steel shear wall comparing with the conventional brace. Second result is the skeleton curve. The skeleton curve shown in figure 10 is obtained from the graphical method illustrated in figure 11, and here it can be usually recognized the difference between the peak load of different cycle loading for the model with the shear wall comparing with the model of with the conventional brace. For the each two direction, the tension and the compression. This table summarizes the numerical results of the two models, and as shown, the maximum values of loading, displacement, the initial stiffness, and the ductility displacement. The displacement ductility of the model with steel plate shear wall reached as much as 7.21, greater than the value of 4.57 for the CBF model. The energy absorption can be computed from the hysteresis loops as shown in figure 12 below, and as can be seen in figure 13, the steel plate shear wall have a good uniform plastic deformation distributed along with the steel plates, and that improved the ability of these systems to dissipate a large amount of energy under a cyclic loading comparing with the conventional brace. The stiffness degradation. The stiffness degradation is calculated for each loading cycle, and it can be seen clearly that both frames frame stiffness decreases with the increasing of displacement until reach the top story depth. Finishing with a conclusion, the simulation results improved the use of steel plate shear wall as a lateral load resistance system compared with the traditional brace. Based on the numerical analysis, the hysteresis curve of forced shear displacement of the steel plate wall frame was more symmetric and stable in shape than the hysteresis curve of the CBF model. This behavior demonstrates the excellent deformation capacity of steel plates. It is observed that used steel plate shear walls led to increasing the lateral strength and ductility. Therefore, it creates symmetry in the resistance of the steel plate during the loading process in both direction, tension and compression. Hence, it increases the ability of the shear walls to withstand a large amount of seismic energy compared with the traditional braces. Thank you.
شكرا يا باشمهندس حمزة. في أي تعليق على البحث يا جماعة؟ في أي تعقيب؟ أي أسئلة؟ طيب معانا البحث التالي من هندسة معمارية، دكتورة صديقة وباشمهندسة علا أو دكتورة علا، جامعة أبو ظبي. دكتورة علا موجودة؟
أيوة موجودة.
اتفضلي. اتفضلي دكتورة.
Okay, hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about the implementation of smart design in a Four Seasons fine dining restaurant in Abu Dhabi. To begin, we decided to create this Four Seasons restaurant because it is always encouraging for the customers to return back to any restaurant if there is multiple themes each time, if the restaurant changes the theme each time. But to create multiple themes in a traditional or conventional design would take up a lot of time, a lot of different design elements, and would consume a lot of money. And in Abu Dhabi, all the restaurants use traditional design, and these can compose of chemicals and harmful environmental impacts on the environment. And also, this paper applies smart design in the interior of a fine dining restaurant in Abu Dhabi. We began at looking at conventional fine dining restaurant in Abu Dhabi. We can see that even the very luxurious and fine dining restaurant in Abu Dhabi are using normal material, not smart material, like as we see in the example on the left. They use American red oak embroidered furniture. It is very high-end, but it is conventional, nothing smart, nothing new. And on the right, we can see using LED light. They are even using Sensu flooring, which is a very high quality material, but it's not smart. Next, we looked at some examples around the world of smart design restaurants. On the left, we can see a restaurant in London called Inamo. They use projectors and computer in the ceiling that project on the tabletop a pattern or something that the customers can play games or order through the table in front of them. So everything on the table is artificial. It's not real. They can just change it. They can play with it. They can even enter the webcam and watch the chef while he's cooking. On the right, we can see another example in Japan. They change the theme each month to implement or show the season of Japan each month. So they show the environment, the weather, the trees, everything around them on the screens around the table. And also on the table itself, there is a projector and a sensor above it. This is actually not just a projector, it's also artificial intelligence, because this projector reads the patterns on the plates which they serve the food, and then they project patterns similar to the patterns on the plate. For example, if the plate has the pattern of a butterfly, this projector will project the pattern or many butterflies on the table. And also this projector senses the movement of the customer's hands, so it moves with the customer. Next, we looked at a four-season restaurant, but it uses conventional design. So we can see that this is actually the same restaurant in 4 different times of the year. On the right, we can see winter, spring, summer, and autumn. But all of these changes are made conventionally and traditionally. So they actually need to close the restaurant for 2-3 days to make these changes. They change the wall panels, the ceiling, the lighting, everything, even the upholstery on the chairs. So all of this takes time, consumes a lot of money and a lot of labor. We looked at some smart material that could serve our goal. On the left, we can see room dividers, louvers that are made of textiles, but these textiles are imprinted with a special inkjet printer with electroluminescent ink. These have wires behind them, behind these textiles, and are connected to a control system that can allow us to choose which parts of these textile or patterns can show together to create each time a different unique pattern. In the middle, we can see the fiber optics, which use traditional fabric with fiber optics that are known to change colors and illuminate. They can be used in pillows, table runners, curtains, a lot of implementation. On the right, we can see a color changing fabric produced by the College of Optics and Photonics in Florida. They use thin metal micro wires in which electric current flows. This electric current results in a high temperature, and there are pigments inside the wires that react to these temperature changes and change the color. Next, we can see another type of color change in upholstery on the left, but this interacts with the human temperature. So when it's 27 Celsius, it actually becomes transparent and shows the color beneath it. But the major disadvantage is that it needs a huge space under the fabric because there is a lot of components that create this change. So it needs a lot of space under it. In the middle, we can see a wallpaper that changes color or changes pattern, and it is sensitive to UV light. So when there is no light, it becomes monochrome, but when there is light, it becomes biomonochrome. So it shows a pattern within it. On the right, we can see a mixed fabric with phosphorant threads. Phosphorant is known to store light, and then at night or in dark, it emits this light. We can see phosphorant also used here in concrete. It can be used in walls or floors. It can be used in any glass table, also a phosphorescent glaze, and even in paint, and that eliminates light. We also looked at smart lighting. We can see on the left also fiber optics can be used in a lot of chandeliers, a lot of design components to emit beautiful light and create beautiful lighting elements. And also LED lights and even some tabletops that can emit light and change color by a control system. And we looked at some smart technology, as we see on the right, the turn-in triangle tiles, as the name states and the picture states. These tiles rotate to show at each face a different color or a different pattern, and it is connected to a distant control system. And to be able to change all of these within one restaurant, we looked for a control system that enables us to control all of these elements, which is the IoT system, the Internet of Things. It is already being used in smart houses, smart hotel rooms. It allows us to connect all the smart elements to one device, and this one device allows us to control everything by the press of a button. The location chosen for this restaurant is near Emirates Palace. It is related to the Etihad Towers in Abu Dhabi. It is called the floating restaurant because, as we see in the top picture, part of the restaurant is built inside the water. It has an amazing view of the Arabian Gulf. And this is the existing plan. We can see the entrance from this side. There's a bathroom area, kitchen area, main dining area, and a terrace area. And these pictures represent the existing design currently. These two pictures represent the entrance or the place you see where you first enter, the waiting area. The dining area is on the right with the bar area. Now we start with the proposed floor plan. As we can see, we created a small waiting area with, of course, the reception desk, and we furnished the dining area. We used different material in the flooring like marble, wood, parquet, and fiber optic carpet. And we have a performance area to be as a focal point. We started by choosing the theme. As we said, we are doing a 4 seasons theme. So we wanted to create each theme to present this season. And here on the left, you can see the spring is known for the flowers, the greenery. So we wanted to create this. So this is the color scheme we chose for it. On the right, we can see the summer. It is known for the sand, the sea, the sun. And that's why we chose a certain color scheme for it. Here we can see on the right the autumn. It is known for the falling leaves, and colors that represented are orange, red, yellow. And on the left, we can see the winter is mostly known for the white color, these light colors. We start by the proposed design for the entrance area. As we see, there is a waiting area. On the back, these are the louvers that made of the textile with the electroluminescent ink that we talked about. They change the pattern each season. They can be controlled to show any part that eliminate in them. We used fiber optic fabric, fiber optic carpet, and on the back of the chairs, the fabric that changed color by the metal wires. And in the ceiling, there are the fiber optic chandeliers, and on the walls on the side, we can see the turning tiles. We can see the metal parts that are holding them and rotating around them. So each season, each of these elements change by a control system. As we see, the pattern here represents winter because this is the color scheme for the winter. The louvers change by the electroluminescent ink, and the colors of the fabric, the rotating tiles, rotates to show another phase. Here's the spring represented by a floral pattern on the louvers and a green fabric color. And the summer as well, we can see is represented by specific color scheme and specific pattern that all change in the same place by a control system. Here is the main dining area. We can see the first season here is autumn. We can see the fiber optic carpet illuminating in the restaurant. We use fiber optic runners on the tables. We use also the electroluminescent ink in the louvers behind the piano. We can see that the main design element is the fiber optic in the ceiling, which is eye-catching and acts as the focal point. In the winter, we can see how the lighting changes, how we use some even extra elements like the tabletop for the tables, how they illuminate and change color each season as well. The spring season, we can see also how the color scheme changes, the lighting, it affects the whole environment generally. And also in the summer, we can see the changes and the back of the chairs, how the color changes of the fabric. In conclusion, this research aims to encourage the use of smart design in interior spaces, since the whole world is moving towards smart and sustainable design across all sectors. The use of smart design will aid in eliminating waste and toxic chemicals that are used daily in most of the traditional design elements. Furthermore, smart design is time and cost effective and can help in creating healthy, sustainable environment. And the UAE is always encouraging the use of smart and sustainable elements based on their vision. And a huge example is the Expo 2020, where they use a lot of smart components. And the interior design sector should follow on the footsteps of other sectors that are employing smart design and technologies. Thank you.
شكرا باشمهندسة علا على إلقاء البحث. بس في الحقيقة ليا سؤال. حضرتك قلتي إن ال smart materials sustainable أو environmental sustainable. تمام.
معلش مش سامعة.
حضرتك قلتي إن ال smart material دي environmentally sustainable، صح كده؟ طيب من الناحية الاقتصادية يعني إيه بقى؟
من الناحية الاقتصادية احنا بنحاول نإليمينيت ان احنا نستخدم many design elements، بدل ما نستخدم اكتر من واحد بنستخدم واحد بس بيدي اكتر من effect في اكتر من سيم واكتر من حاجة احنا عايزينها، اكتر من شكل يعني.
بس هل smart materials مش مكلفة؟
هي ممكن تكون مكلفة، بس هي اكيد مش هتكون مكلفة لما اجيب 4 مثلا lighting elements وافضل ابدل ما بينهم كل سيزون. هيكلف لي labor، هيكلف لي storage، هيكلف لي حاجات كتير غير ثمنها.
تمام. بس احنا برضو ما نقدرش نحكم عليها ان هي completely sustainable، صح كده؟
لا مش completely. هي معروفة sustainability ليه areas كتير. احنا بنتكلم من ناحية انها مش هتترمي مثلا، مش هتتحط على جنب، هي هتبقى sustainable من الناحية دي.
تمام. ميرسي جدا يا باشمهندسة.
ميرسي
شكرا على
ليكي.
البحث المتميز.
شكرا.
البحث التالي لدكتورة صديقة أيضا ودكتورة آية.
أيوة سامعيني؟
اتفضلي يا دكتور.
أهلا وسهلا. إذا تريدي بس حسوي أول شي شير سكرين، لو تخبريني بس تقدري تشوفي البرزنتيشن.
دكتور نوبي هيقدر يشير لحضرتك دلوقتي تمام، هو ظهر حالا.
هي ظاهرة عندكم بس مش عندي. طيب ثواني بس. هلا طالع؟
اتفضلي.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, thank you for accepting our presentation. Our topic today is about the environmental and health impact of eco-friendly textiles in the interior space by Professor Sadiqa Shakur and myself, Aya Hamash from Abu Dhabi University. Among the many materials that contribute to the design of a complete interior, textiles have a particularly important role. They introduce sense of softness, curvature, flexibility into static spaces. They also offer unlimited design possibilities. When it comes to textile selection, it should always be made after a fresh review of what is currently available, and designers should assume to be aware of a large number of characteristics of textile that impact their selection. Here we have some terminologies that are closely related to the textiles world. Organic, meaning no pesticides or chemicals were used. Eco-textiles, meaning manufactured through eco-friendly measures. Recycled and biodegradable, which are natural and synthetic fibers that are biodegradable. Textile processes and sustainability, which is produced by taking into consideration each step from cultivation to printing and finishing processes. Textile categories are 4, and their characteristics are as follows. First, we have artificial or synthetic textiles, which are fabrics manufactured in factories using chemical synthesis. They are fabrics like nylon, PVC, and rayon, and they are made by the process of polymerization. Natural textiles are fabrics woven or knitted from fibers that occur in nature, like animal or vegetable and mineral resources. Organic textiles or eco-friendly textiles are produced to replace environmentally harmful textiles and minimize the ecological impact. Green textiles may also refer to clothing or accessories designed to use organic or recycled materials, less packaging, and more energy-efficient manufacturing. Sustainable textiles are fabrics in which every input and output matters. They are used from materials obtained from renewable or recycled resources. Some examples of exceptional eco-friendly textiles that are currently being used in interior spaces, we have linen. Linen comes from the flax plant fibers, and it's used in upholstery, tablecloth, and curtains. Bamboo. Bamboo is extracted from the bamboo plant. It's also used in drapes, curtains, wallpapers, and upholstery. We also have organic wool, which is renewable and fire resistant. It's used in upholstery, blankets, rugs, and carpets. Jute. Jute is one of the world's most famous eco-friendly fiber, and it's produced a lot. It's used in curtains, in upholstery, carpets, and outdoor furniture. We also have soy silk. Soy silk comes from the tofu manufacturing waste. It's being used in curtains, upholstery, and cushions. We have lemper, which comes from the white pine tree clippings. It has a comfort to it. It resembles silk and the touch of cashmere, and it's very light. It's used in curtains, in upholstery, and rugs. There's also fish skin leather, which comes from the waste of the food industry, from the skins of fish like sturgeon and catfish, and it's used to decorate furniture, manufacture paintings, wall panels, vases, and other decor elements. Banana fiber is produced from the stalks of the banana plant. It can be mixed with other materials, and it's being used on as blankets, sofas, carpets, and rugs. We have also nettle fabric, which comes from the stem of the stinging nettle plant. It's used in upholstery, pillows, and rugs. Lastly, we have the lotus flower fabric, which is extracted from the lotus stem, and it's one of the most sustainable sacred fabrics in the world. They are soft, breathable, wrinkle-free, and they are waterproof. Now, all of the fabrics I have already mentioned are totally biodegradable and renewable. Now, there's an impact of the regular textiles on the health and environment. Textiles hold a significant percentage in interior space, and based on a previous article we worked on, we proved that interior spaces, both residential and commercial, can have textile that covers percentage between 60 to 70% of the space. Some textiles used in the interior space cause indoor air pollution, especially chemically treated textiles. There is a direct and indirect effect of the regular textiles on our health. The direct effect comes from chemical substances that spread in the indoor environment of buildings and mix with the air that we inhale. It affects human health, beginning with the skin, causing inflammation and skin diseases, and it also affects the respiratory system, causing diseases that start with asthma and can end with cancers. The indirect effect occurs as a result of the reaction of the chemical compounds with other contaminants present in the indoor air, such as chemical compounds from surrounding environments, biological contaminants that may be present as a result of some indoor activities or breeding pets. It can also come from dust, as its pollutant content leaks into our interior spaces, and multiple other pollutants that come because of building substances, interior finishes, and raw materials used in design, furniture, and accessories. It can also interact with human activities practiced indoor, such as cooking, metabolic processes, and some habits like smoking. There are multiple eco-friendly textile processes like enzyme technology, supercritical fluid dyeing technology, plasma processing, and foam technology. All of the previous technologies replace harsh chemicals. They are biologically degradable. They cause no pollution, and they reduce the usage of water and are environmentally friendly. Now we are going to talk about the impact of eco-friendly textiles on our health and environment. When we are using eco-friendly upholstery, this will be a step towards a healthy interior with good vibes and good energy. The sustainability of upholstery fabric can be determined based on multiple factors: the people who are making the fabric, the methods of cultivation and manufacturing, the properties of the fabric, the biodegradability, and its effect on groundwater pollution and more. The impact of eco-friendly fabrics on our health is that it has the properties of the new synthetic breathable fibers with the added softness and drape. It's natural and does not contain irritating chemicals. It's hypoallergenic and antibacterial. It's totally biodegradable, either by its pure form or if it's mixed with other eco-friendly fabrics, and it's gaining more popularity. The impact of eco-friendly textiles on our environment and health: 90% of our lives is spent indoors. That promotes the requirement of making eco-friendly interior spaces. Therefore, one must be aware of what is suitable for their health and what creates a healthy environment. Our recommendations from this paper is that dedicated sections showcasing eco-friendly textiles should be available in retail shops. There should be awareness that to be raised among youth and adults about the importance of green textiles in everyday lives. Eco-textiles should be considered as the first criteria when buying new furniture. At least half of the below criteria should be met, including low water need, low energy need, renewable resources, no GMOs, no soil erosion, and it should be biodegradable. You can also consider avoiding one or more of the below notable activities that pose a threat to the environment, like high water need, high energy need, harmful chemicals, use of GMO, non-biodegradable, and animal cruelty. Green textiles to be officially categorized to proving their importance and attempting to prioritize the use of eco-textiles, the frequent use of them would develop into a habit leading to a safer environment. Thank you.
شكرا يا دكتورة آية على البحث المتميز. في
Thank
أي
you.
أسئلة؟ في أي تعقيب؟ ميرسي يا دكتورة آية، ميرسي.
Thank you.
Can I talk, please? Can you give me a
اتفضلي.
second, please? I'm Dr. Sadia Shakur.
أهلا بحضرتك يا دكتور، أهلا، اتفضلي اتفضلي.
أهلا معي.
دكتورة ولاء مع حضرتك.
أهلا دكتورة ولاء. I want to thanks. I want to take this opportunity to thank both Aya Hamash and Ola for their effort and their great effort in this two significant research. Thank you so much, Aya and Ola, and thank you for the committee, and thank you for Dr. Nouby for this remarkable inviting us for this remarkable conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
البحث التالي يا جماعة دكتور نظير أو دكتور علاء، جامعة الوسيط العراق، معنا؟ دكتور نظير معنا أو دكتور علاء؟ طيب البحث التالي من كفر الشيخ دكتور أحمد صلاح. دكتور أحمد صلاح موجود؟
مع حضرتك يا دكتور علي.
اتفضل. استاذن دكتور نوبي بشير السكرين.
مفتوح يا دكتور ولا مفتوح يا دكتور احمد؟
ظاهر كده؟ ظاهر عندك؟
تمام دكتور احمد، اتفضل معاك.
السلام عليكم، اهلا بحضراتكم جميعا. معاكم احمد صلاح الديب، مدرس العماره بكليه الهندسه جامعه كفر الشيخ. البرزنتيشن من بحث بعنوان Urbanization and Environmental Change Local Effect of the International Road on برج البرول City. البحث with engineering engineer احمد مفتوح القاضي. Presentation component, introduction, research important, research problem, research question, methods, and case study. And we talk about physical change, environmental change, finally result and recommendation. هستأذنكم انا هتكلم يعني العربي والانجليزي مع بعض. الجزء
خلاص براحتك كده.
الانترودكشن، المقدمه الخاصه بالموضوع. احنا كلنا بنشوف البوبوليشن اللي حاصل على مستوى العالم والزياده السريعه تحصل لعدد السكان، وخصوصا في الفتره اللي فاتت والفتره القادمه لحد سنه 2015. وظهر ان الزياده السكانيه هتزيد بنسبه 66% خلال الفتره اللي جايه. بيتبع الزياده السكانيه تطور رهيب في التحضر وفي المشاريع الجديده وفي المدن الجديده اللي بتنشأ. نتيجه هذا السرعه في التحضر بيبقى فيه تاثيرات environmental change and social change and economic change. التغيرات اللي بتحصل دي بتحصل على المدن، ومنها المدن الساحليه او المناطق الساحليه. من هنا جت اهميه البحث اللي احنا هنتكلم عليه، شغالين عليه يعني، وخصوصا في مصر مركزين على منطقه الساحل الشمالي او شريط الساحل الشمالي. والدوله بدات تهتم بالمنطقه دي وبتنشئ فيها مشاريع ضخمه. كانت بدايتها من طريق الدولي الساحلي انترناشونال كوستال رود، وبرج البرولس باور ستيشن محطه الكهرباء، وفي الفتره الاخيره نيو منصوره سيتي والعلمين سيتي ورشيد سيتي وغيره من المشاريع الضخمه. لو بصينا على الماب لمصر وموقعها ومنطقه الدلتا ومنطقه الساحل الشمالي اللي احنا بصدد اختيار الموقع اللي هنتكلم عنه، اللي هي البرولس سيتي، وده اللي باين معانا في الخريطه ومناطق التطوير اللي ممكن مصر خلال الفتره اللي جايه. بدانا نلاحظ ان منطقه الساحل الشمالي ومنطقه الدلتا بيبقى فيها مشاريع ضخمه بتتم، زي a lot of new cities, new universities, new mega project, رشيد سيتي as I told. new university, power generation station, chemical factory, the Meta Furniture City, and so on. المشكلة اللي بتقابلنا في البحث وخلتنا نركز عليها اللي the occurrence of environmental and climate change كان نتيجة للphysical change at the global level and rapid urbanization. The physical change increase the vulnerability of coastal zone regard to environmental, social, and economic aspects. Environmental and physical change facing the city of Borollos associated with infrastructure projects such as the International Coastal Road. Research question: Why is Borollos city is one of the most cities physically changed? ليه هي أكتر المدن اللي تعرضت للتغير ده؟ To what extent the International Coastal Road affect Borollos city؟ لأي مدى التغير ده حصل؟ الميثودز اللي احنا تبعناها كانت بدايه الدسكشن للرابid urbanization and its impact on cities, particularly in the north of Nile Delta, and the reason for choosing this coastal strip as the most suitable area for mega development projects. Time series map allowed us to analyze the physical change to the International Coastal Road as a prerequisite for urbanization. Number 3, the observation as second tool, third tool to survey environmental problem الجونة area. الستادي اللي احنا المنطقة اللي اشتغلنا عليها منطقة برج البرولوس وطريق الدولي الساحلي. International Coastal Road في بداية إنشائه كان ليه أهداف محلية وهو national link to connect Egyptian governorate. Second as global link, national link. Part of international road connecting African country. We can make zone in Borg el-Borollos and we can see it is Borg el-Borollos city, one of the most affected and the biggest city where the road passes through. El-Gona triangle is area that resulted between the road and old city. Is a big physical change in the city. لو بصينا في الخريطه اللي قدامنا هنلاقي في الانترناشونال كوستال رود من الساوث في الجنوب برج البرولوس ليك، بحيره البرولوس، وفوق منطقه المدينه نفسها. بدانا نتكلم على الفيزيكال تشينج اللي حصل من خلال السيريال ماب خلال الازمنه الماضيه، بدايه من 1998 بنلاحظ المدينه الاولد سيتي، المدينه القديمه، بدون وجود منطقه الطريق الدولي الساحلي اللي هيجي بعد كده، ولسه ما فيش اي توسع ولا اي امتداد موجود ليها. في الخريطه 2004 بدا يظهر ذا رود اوف انترناشونال كوستال رود، وبدا تظهر المنطقه المحصوره ما بين اولد سيتي اند انترناشونال كوستال رود. This area، المنطقة دي عبارة عن triangle area called الجونة. مع الوقت by the time المنطقة بدأت يحصل فيها عمران، وبدأ يحصل فيها ردم المناطق اللي فيها المياه، وبدأت الأهالي تبني في المنطقة دي كل جزء مخصص ليها. الستيت في الوقت ده بدأت تقسم الجونة لأربع مراحل وتباع للاهالي السكان بحيث ان هم يقدروا يبنوا ويعيشوا فيها. لغايه الفتره الحاليه بدات تظهر الجونه بشكلها النهائي، والبناء بدا يتم تدريجيا، وتقريبا حوالي 60% من نسبه الاراضي بدا يتم بنائها، لم يتم بنائها حتى الان. ده واضح التغير المادي اللي بدأ يظهر في المدينة. عشان كده نقدر نقول الجونة area is considered a big physical change for البرولوس city is about 15% from the old city. نسبتها بنزل 50% من مساحة المدينة القديمة. As a result of physical change there are environmental impact, economic impact, social impact at change. الجزء الثاني environmental change اللي حاصل في الموقع، بدأنا نشوف الناتشورال ريسورس اللي حصل فيها، سواء الووتر، اللاند، الانرجي، الماتيريال، الجزء الخاص بالهاوسنج والانواع المباني اللي موجوده والكفاءه المباني وعددها، الجزء الخاص بالانفيرمنتال بروتكشن والخاص بالكوستال بروتكشن والكواليتي والووتر كواليتي والاجريكلتشر لاند. بعد كده الجزء الخاص ب places of high quality زي البارك assistance of police facilities walkability، والجزء الخاص بالاكسسبيليتي public transport road network local access and freight access. من خلال الاوبزرفيشن والزيارات الميدانيه بدانا نشوف الانفيرمنتال تشينج اوف الجونه تريانجل وايه الحاجات الاساسيه اللي بدات تحصل فيها زي ما شرحت في زي ما باين في السلايد اللي فاتت، واماكن القمامه اللي موجوده، اماكن الصرف الصحي اللي موجود، اماكن المباني الحالات المتدهوره، الطرق والمداخل بتاعه المدينه، كل ده ما كانش موجود الا بعد منطقه الجونه بدات تضم للمدينه. في نهايه البرزنتيشن بقدر اقول في انعكاسات للتحضر اللي موجود عموما على مستوى العالم وتاثيراته البيئيه والمكانيه على المناطق الموجوده. بدأنا نقول اللي في gradual physical change occur in Borolus city as a result of passage of the international coastal road, separation of Lake Borolus from old city, the emergence of new area has been added to the city called Elgona and take the shape of triangle to be an urban extension. The area of Elgona, 15% of the area of the old city of the Borolus. The emergence of many environmental problems as a result of randoms during construction, making illegal corridors and routes to reach the lake from the bottom of the Bogaz Bridge. بدأ الناس يعملوا ممرات غير قانونية عشان يقدروا يوصلوا للبحيرة اللي هي مصدر دخلهم يعني. The increase of groundwater and difficulty of draining rainwater drained into the lake. الصرف بدأ في البحيرة. The lack of open spaces which the city desperately needed مش موجودة، تكاد تكون منعدمة. Leaving construction of to the people according to their financial level missed the opportunity to design shape of the town and it become closer to slum. Though the buildings are reasonable compared to the old city, they suffer from complex structural problem and ventilation and natural lighting that haven't been studied well. We can يعني قدرنا نعمل الدايجرام الموضح اللي بيوضح الفكره البرنيزيشن والانفيرمنتال امباكت. البرنيزيشن بدايه من نيو بروجكت متمثله في الانترناشونال فيزيكال تشينج اللي حصل، ادنج نيو اريا للمدينه لاولد سيتي، separation of the lake Borolus, dividing الجونه للاربع مراحل، وبعد كده بدا الكونستراكشن راندوم. ده كله اثر في الناتشورال ريسورس، الاير كواليتي، اجريكلتشر لاند، الايكو سيستم، البيلد انفايرمنت، ستريت نتورك، دريننج ووتر. بنحاول نعمل انترفنشن تو سيلف بروبلم من خلال الستيك هولدر متمثله في الستيت، البوبوليشن، انفستورز، ستيت كرييت اند مونيتور بروجكت، البوبوليشن كوميونتي بارتيسيبيشن، الانفستور establishing surface development project. Finally, recommendation: who is starting to establish mega project, its direct impact on the area in which the project is located must be studied well. Provide a suitable alternative environment for residents in which they can continue their life. Attention to the application of standard and requirement for construction in slums and unplanned areas. Develop detailed plan for areas so that they don't turn into slum over time. Relying on the appropriate construction method for each region according to the region nature. Rely on modern methods of waste disposal and sewage. Integrating renewable energy source into new projects. Addressing the component authorities represented by the planning department in Kafr Sheikh government to the and the urban communities authority to take the necessary measure to develop the Elgona area in the city of Borolus, raising awareness among the population through educational seminars and open dialogues to know the extent of problem that exist and are expected to occur in the future. Encourage community participation in large urban projects. Thank you. شكرا.
في أي أسئلة يا جماعة للدكتور أحمد؟ أي تعليق؟ شكرا يا دكتور. البحث التالي. البحث التالي يا جماعة. number 2322 دكتور أحمد محمد السيد. بحث من عين شمس. معانا دكتور محمد إبراهيم جبر. طيب بحث رقم 2324 دكتورة مي عيد جامعة أسوان. دكتورة مي معانا؟ تمام. البحث الأخير نمبر 2331 برضو من جامعة كفر الشيخ، دكتور أحمد أبو الفتوح القاضي.
ألو.
أيوة.
هل ممكن أن أقدم بحثي؟ أنا من الجزائر.
أهلا وسهلا يا دكتور، اتفضل.
شكرا شكرا، بارك الله فيك. إذن لا
رقم البحث بتاع حضرتك كام؟
رقم البحث 2319.
2319.
نعم، هل ممكن أم مازال؟
ثواني.
نعم.
دكتور نوبي معنا؟ دكتور نوبي؟ هو يا دكتور البحث ده مش معانا في سيجن 4.
تكنيكال سيشن.
مفيش
أنا
مشكلة.
موجودة في تكنيكال سيشن 8.
تمام. لا مش دلوقتي حد، مش دلوقتي.
انتظر، ما كاين حتى مشكل. شكرا.
العفو.
شكرا.
طيب دكتور أحمد أبو الفتوح موجود؟ دكتور أحمد صلاح الديب.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حضرتك أنا موجود.
اتفضل حضرتك، اتفضل.
شكرا.
بحث نمبر 2331 Evaluate the socio-economic impact. اتفضل يا دكتور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو البحث كان تكمله للبحث مع الدكتور احمد صلاح اللي هو اخر بحث اتعرض دلوقتي.
تمام.
بس ده كان الجزء الاولاني خاص بالجزء البيئي، والبحث بتاعي خاص بتقييم Evaluate the socio-economic impact of international coastal route on board the city. في الأول بداية المشكلة ونفس الكلام اللي اتعرض بخصوص الجزء من الأورجانيزيشن، وفي الفترة الأخيرة إن عدد السكان لحد 2050 هيزيد بمعدل 2.5 بليون نسمة. وبالنسبة لمصر دلتا النيل من المناطق اللي هي اللي التوجه فيها للتحضر بشكل كبير. وكان بداية التحضر ده كأول خطوة للتحضر في المنطقة دي كان إنشاء الطريق الدولي الساحلي عام 2002. وبالنسبة للكوستال لاين في شمال مصر ده تأثر بشكل كبير على المستويات اللي هي الانفيرمنتال والايكونوميك والسوشيال. وبالنسبه للطريق الدولي الساحلي كان كله بيمر بالطريق بالشريط الساحلي وبيمر باكبر 3 بحيرات في شمال مصر، فكان بيمر بمعظم المدن اللي كان بيمر بيها اللي هي مناطق الصيد. فعلى سبيل المثال 2018 كان بيمثل الانتاج الصيد من ال3 بحيرات دول والشاطئ الشمالي في المنطقه بتاعه الدلتا ما يقرب من 54% من الانتاج السمكي في مصر. فده بيشير لاهميه المنطقه دي والفرص اللي في المنطقه دي. من مزايا الطريق الدولي الساحلي، انا بعتذر عن صوت الاذان، انا اسف. من مزايا الطريق ان هو كان بيعمل لينك ما بين المدن دي والمشاريع الكبيره الموجوده اللي هي الميجا بروجكت اللي موجوده لحد دلوقتي وما زالت بتتم في المكان دوت. من المشاكل اللي كانت واضحه قوي للطريق الدولي الساحلي ومروره بالقرى الصيادين اللي كانت كتير قوي، ان هو كان دايما بيفصل ما بين اماكن السكان واماكن عملهم. وكان العمل بينقسم لثلاث اجزاء، لثلاث حاجات رئيسيه، وهي الزراعه في الاراضي، فجاء الطريق فصل بينها، وكان الحاله الثانيه اللي هي الصيد في البحيرات الموجوده او الصيد في البحر. فكان على ثلاث مستويات كان بيظهر مشكله في معظم القرى دي كلها. المشكله ان هي المشكله الاكبر البحث بيركز عليها ان القرى ديت كان في تهميش لها في البحث العلمي وتناول مشاكلها، ايا كان على الجزء البيئي اللي اتعرض في البحث اللي فات او على الجزء السوشيال والجزء الايكونوميك بالنسبه للقرى دي، بجانب المشاريع الضخمه اللي موجوده في الدوله، فكانت مهمشه بشكل بنسبه ما يعني. الكيس ستادي بتاعتنا اخذنا برج البرولوس اللي هي باينه هنا في الخريطه بالشكل دوت. وليه برج البرولوس؟ لان برج البرولوس من اكبر المدن في شمال الدلتا او في شمال مصر بالنسبه في عدد صيادين، وهي من المدن اللي اتاثرت بشكل كبير على المستوى الفيزيكال بمرور الطريق الدولي الساحلي. زي ما احنا شايفين ان قطعه الجونه اللي هو مثلث الجونه اللي اتضاف في المدينه ما يقرب من نص مساحه المدينه القديمه، وان الطريق الدولي كان فاصل بشكل كبير ما بين بحيره البرولوس وما بين الصيادين الموجودين هنا. وكان المهن الرئيسيه في المدينه كان الدخل كله بيرتكز على الصيد في البحر او في البحيره او المهن اللي بتاخد الصيد من صناعه مراكب او صناعه الغزل. فواضح كده قبل مرور الطريق كان الشاطئ بتاعنا اللي هو موجود في القرى ده قريب من البيوت، وكانت العلاقه قويه جدا ما بين البحيره وما بين الاهالي. بعد مرور الطريق بالشكل دوت بقى الجزء ده اللي هو اتبنى بعد 2002 بقى بيعرقل الوصول ما بين السكان الصيادين دول بشكل كبير ما بين البحيره، وده ادى لمشاكل كتيره جدا موجوده. وبدا بعض يعني وكان في مكانين بس اللي هو باللون الاحمر دول الاماكن اللي متاح للمرور منها للبحيره. فكانت معظم الاهالي بتختصر المسافه دي المتوسط بتاعها تقريبا 1000 متر، كانت بتختصرها ان هي بتعدي الطريق كروس، فكان بيحصل حوادث كتير جدا. الاسئله بتاعت البحث اللي هو برج البرولوس هل اتاثر بشكل سيء بمرور الطريق الدولي، ولاي مدى تاثر على مستوى السوشيال ايكونومي بتاعه، وهل المشاركه المجتمعيه للاهالي دي هتضيف وضع حلول للمشكله ديت؟ واهميه البحث ان في مخطط دلوقتي ان بيمر خط سكه قطر بشمال الدلتا يربط اسكندريه مطروح بدمياط. فالمشكله هتبقى اكثر تعقيدا ان لم تعالج دلوقتي بمرور الطريق. الماتيريال والميثودز بتاع البحث اعتمدنا في البحث ده على ثلاثه ميثود. الجزء الاول هو الليترشر ريفيو اللي انا هطلع منه بالكاتيجوري الرئيسيه بتاعت السوشيو ايكونوميك اللي انا هبدا ادرسها تتاثر. الميثود الثاني ان انا استخدمت الناريتيف ميثود، وبعد كده الاوبزرفيشن عشان خاطر اعمل دوكيومنتيشن للمشاكل اللي انا برصدها. وليه اخترت الناريتيف ميثود؟ هي طريقه بتدي حريه شويه للشخص اللي انت للشخص ان هو يتكلم بحريه اكتر، فيتعرض لكل المشاكل ويبدا يركز على اكتر الامور اللي مسببه له مشكله. ودي كانت مراجع اتكلمت عن مزايا الناريتيف ميثود كطريقه. اختيار السامبل نفسها كان في الاول قبل مرور الطريق كان 4 مهن رئيسيه في المدينه، كانوا كلهم حوالين الصيد في البحيره، الصيد في البحر، صناعه المراكب، وتجاره محلات تجاره الاسماك اللي كانت على الشاطئ. مؤقتا تقريبا 9 حصل شيفت كارير كتير، وحصلت ناس سابت الصيد وناس بدات تسافر وناس سابت المدن، حصلت هجره بنسب كبيره جدا. الناس الموجوده حاليا بيمتهنوا تقريبا 9 مهن موجودين في المدينه طبقا للاحصائيات اللي جبناها. فبدات اخد 9 عينات اعمل معاهم ناريتيف ميثود بشكل موسع، وبيشكلوا المستويات الاقتصاديه الموجوده او مستويات الدخل المختلفه. ودي كانت صور للقاءات مع بعض مع العينه بتاعتي. بعد كده عشان خاطر اعمل سكيدول وابدا ارصد البيانات دي واحللها، اعتمدت على بحث كان تناول السوشيو ايكونوميك امباكت لقرى صيادين في استراليا. كان بيتكلم في 6 كاتيجوري رئيسيين، حاجات خاصه بالانكم والبيوليشن والسوسايتي والاديوكيشن، وانا ضفت في الاخر مع ال6 دول كاتيجوري 7 للمواضيع اللي هيبدا الناس دي يتطرقوا ليها وما كانتش موجوده سب تايتل ال6 الاولانيين. بالفعل يعني ده، وبعد كده هبدا حللت كلام اللي هو الستوريز اللي النارتيف الناس بقى يتكلموا عنها، وقيمها. هو بيتكلم على كل نقطه بيتكلم عنها بشكل سلبي ولا بشكل ايجابي. ظهر معايا الجدول ده بالطريقه دي. دول 9 بتوع اللي بداوا يتكلموا، ودي المواضيع الموجوده 6 كاتيجوري رئيسيين، ودي المواضيع اللي بداوا يتطرقوا ليها في الكلام بشكل سلبي او ايجابي. بدات اميز كل حاجه بان او بي حسب بوزيتيف او نيجاتيف. وبدات الموضوع الاجمالي هنا الناس اللي اخترقت كل موضوع تتكلم فيه. الرقم اللي تحت ده بيدي لي مدى اهميه الامر ده بالنسبه للسكان ايا كان ايجابي او سلبي. يعني الامر اللي ال9 اتكلموا عنه او 8 اتكلموا عنه، غير امر مثلا واحد بس اتكلم عنه، فده كان مؤشر بالنسبه لي. بالنسبه للدسكشن والريزلت بدات اخد كل نقطه من دول واتكلم. يعني كانت بوزيتيف او نيجاتيف. في الانكم بدأوا يتكلموا عن الدخل متوسط الدخل والافرج نفسه. ان الاول كان الدخل ارقام المبالغ كانت قليله، بس كانت الناس عايشه بشكل افضل، وكان في تكامل اجتماعي، وكان في اللي هو السوشيال يونتي قريب من الناس، فكانوا بيساعدوا بعض بشكل كبير. مؤخرا بعد مرور الطريق بقت الاهالي والسيدات والاطفال الصغيرين ما عادوش بيقدروا يساعدوا اهاليهم عشان خاطر الطريق الدولي، فعمل مشاكل اسريه كتير ومشاكل في مستوى الدخل. بالنسبه للسكان ونسبه الشباب الموجوده، نسبه الشباب في المدينه حاليا قلت جدا، وده واضح جدا في المدينه اصلا في الاوبزرفيشن بتاعتي. ده عشان الشباب بدأوا يسيبوا المدينه ل3 اسباب، منها مفيش قله المستوى الدخل، وان في تعليم زاد في المدينه، مستوى التعليم زاد فمعظم الناس سابت المدينه، وفي ان النفقات زادت جدا مقارنه بالدخل بتاع الصياد في المدينه دي. الماتيريال نسب الزواج، معدل سن الزواج تاخر بشكل كبير وبشكل واضح، حصلت تكلفه كبيره مقارنه بالدخول، وبدا معظم الشباب يسافر، فدي برضه كان لها مشاكل اجتماعيه كتير. والسوشيال ايكواليتي نفسها بدا في الامتداد العمراني الجديد لما ظهر بدا يعمل جبر كبيره جدا ما بين الليفلز المختلفه الاقتصاديه، فبدات في ناس تشتري اراضي كتير جدا. متر الارض وصل 40,000 جنيه، وفي ناس ما زالت قاعده جوه صيادين يعني. وتكاثر العائلات ومستوى اقتصادي متدني، فحصل جاب كبيره جدا، فبدا يحصل ان المكان بتاع البونه المثلث الجديد بقى بتاع الاغنياء، والبلد القديمه اللي هي الاولد القديمه بقت للناس اللي هم مستواهم اقل، فده اثر على مستوى الخدمات ومستوى المساواه ما بين المجتمع. والسوشيال كوميونتي بالتالي، يعني الصوره دي بتوضح ان ده الصياد اللي بيتحرك في وسط التحضر اللي حصل والطرق والعربيات، بعد ما كان بينزل من البيت بتاعه للبحيره مباشره، بقت في مشكله بيعانيها ان هو الحاجه بتاعته والمعدات بالطريقه دي. فده خلى الناس بقى في فروق كبيره جدا، وما عادش ما عادش في علاقه قويه ما بين المستويات المختلفه، وده خلى ناس كتير جدا تهاجر من المدينه عشان يلاقوا اماكن مناسبه للصيد اكتر. بعد كده كنا اتكلمنا عن الجزء اللي هي الطبقات الضعيفه، وان حصل اسكان اجتماعي في المنطقه دي، بس ما كانش كافي للناس الموجوده، وبالتالي بدا يتسلم بطريقه غير عادله. مستوى الصحه، ان عدد كبير من الستريس اللي انا بدات احللها كانت بتتكلم ان الاول كانت الصحه افضل، وكان الاكل وكان الغذاء بشكل عام طبيعي اكتر، ما كانش فيه رعايه صحيه كتيره، بس ما كانش فيه امراض، على عكس دلوقتي المكان اللي ضاف جديد وزاد كميه امراض في المدينه بشكل كبير. بالنسبه للإديوكيشن احنا اتكلمنا ان هو يعني سهوله الاتصال ما بين المدن والمدينه بالطريق الدولي، ده سهل التعليم، ونسب التعليم زادت بشكل كبير الفتره الاخيره. التوظيف ده كان من الحاجات البوزيتيف اللي حصلت، خصوصا سهل الوصول ما بين قرى دمياط وطوبس في الشمال والمدن الصناعيه الموجوده في المنطقه دي، فدي كانت مزايا كبيره للمدينه. بالنسبه للصناعه وبالنسبه للمواضيع اللي الناس بدأوا يتكلموا عنها زي الهجره وموضوع نسب الطلاق اللي زادت قوي، لان معظم الناس اللي بداوا يسافروا ويصطادوا في اماكن ثانيه زي العريش واسكندريه والاماكن دي، او يسافروا يصطادوا في الخليج العربي او في ليبيا، بداوا يسيبوا اسرهم، فما عادش في قوه في الاسر، فبدا يحصل نسب طلاق كبيره جدا. بالتالي حصل مشاكل مع الشباب نفسه، اللي هي مستوى الجريمه زاد بشكل كبير عشان عدم وجود الاب بشكل اساسي في البيت. ظاهره التسول وان كانت على مستوى الدوله زادت، بس في المدينه زادت بشكل كبير، لان كانت البحيره بتمتص كل البطاله الموجوده، ان هو بمركب باقل معدات وباقل تجهيز بينزل يشتغل ويقدر يكسب. حاليا ما عادش الامر سهل. السرقه زادت عشان خاطر المعدات الصيد بقت بعيده عن الاهالي، فما عادوش عارفين يتابعوها بشكل كويس. في الاخر والكونكلوجن بدات اتكلم عن الحاجات البوزيتيف اجمعها والحاجات النيجاتيف، ووصلت للريكومنديشن ان السلامز دي او الاحياء الفقيره اللي بتبقى بجانب المشاريع العملاقه اللي بتتعمل في اي منطقه وخصوصا في شمال الدلتا، محتاجه يبقى فيه اهتمام في الجزء البحثي بتاعها وطريقه انشائها وتصميمها. انا اسف اخذت وقت كتير وشكرا.
يا دكتور أبل، شكرا لحضرتك. ونضيف future recommendation مثلا، نقول biodiversity action plan، نقدر نحافظ على البحيرات في مصر، نعمل